Today we're going to be talking about some of the features of generalized anxiety disorder and how this condition differs from your regular everyday worry. Hi everyone. Generalized anxiety disorder is a common and very challenging condition associated with excessive, difficult to control worry. However, how do you know if you have generalized anxiety disorder or if it's just normal, everyday worry that everyone has? In today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the differences between regular garden variety worry and the worries that you find in generalized anxiety disorder. Before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about generalized anxiety disorder. Now, I've done a number of videos on generalized anxiety disorder, as well as a 14-part deep dive into a number of tools and skills that a person can use to manage generalized anxiety disorder. So if you're interested in learning more, I'd encourage you to check out those videos. Now, at its core, generalized anxiety disorder is associated with excessive anxiety and worry about a number of different topics like work, school, finances, health and well-being, relationships, social interactions, community and world affairs, or even minor matters like getting chores done or punctuality. Notice these are things that we all tend to worry about from time to time. So it's not like the content of the worries are particularly special or notable in generalized anxiety disorder. These are worries that we all have. The thing is, the worries in generalized anxiety disorder aren't bizarre or strange worries, like things like being abducted by aliens, but they tend to be about the same topics that everyone worries about. Yet there are a number of ways in which generalized anxiety disorder worry tends to differ from your regular garden variety worry. The first is that worry in generalized anxiety disorder tends to be quite time-consuming. People with generalized anxiety disorder tend to worry for significant chunks of time, nearly every day. When I'm working with people with generalized anxiety disorder, I often ask them to provide me with an estimate of the percentage of how much of the day that they typically spend worrying. And it's not uncommon for them to tell me that they can spend up to 50 or 70% of their day worrying about one thing or the other. Another big difference between generalized anxiety disorder worry and your regular garden variety type of worry is that worry in generalized anxiety disorder tends to be much more difficult to control. We have all had the experience where we start worrying about something. But in non-generalized anxiety disorder worry, we're generally able to put those thoughts and those worries out of our mind and focus on what we're trying to do. However, in generalized anxiety disorder worry, once you start worrying about a topic or a series of topics, it becomes very difficult to get your mind off of that worry. It can almost feel impossible to stop worrying about it. And it becomes distracting when you're trying to do other things and the worry just keeps getting in the way of what you're trying to focus on. I describe these types of worries as sticky, almost like once you start thinking about these worries, they get stuck inside your brain and it's hard to get away from them. The worry process in generalized anxiety disorder also tends to be more pervasive and involves a lot of different topics. And this tends to be one of the big differentiating features between generalized anxiety disorder and other anxiety conditions. So, for example, in social anxiety, it's very common for people to worry excessively about their social interactions. However, that tends to be the main topic of their worry, and they tend not to worry excessively about other topics like finances or health or whether they lock their car door. However, in generalized anxiety disorder worry, the person tends to experience excessive worry about a wide range of topics, so that it seems like almost nothing is safe and everything is something to worry about. This wide scope of worry tends to be one of the most significant differentiating factors between generalized anxiety disorder worry and garden variety worries or worries that you find in other anxiety disorders. In generalized anxiety disorder, the worries tend to be more out of proportion to what's actually happening in the current situation. It's not uncommon for the person to think about and focus on the worst case scenarios and all the potential catastrophic outcomes. Typical non-generalized anxiety disorder worry tends not to go as far down the rabbit hole in terms of all of the awful things that could happen or how bad the situation could get. Another key differentiating feature in generalized anxiety disorder is the chronicity of the worry. In generalized anxiety disorder, the worrying isn't something that happens for short periods of time or short episodes of worry. It tends to be more prolonged and consistent worrying. As a result, people with generalized anxiety disorder can experience a variety of associated physical symptoms resulting from the chronic nature of this ongoing worry. So these are things like a general sense of restlessness or difficulty concentrating, fatigue, irritability or having a short fuse, increased muscle tension, and difficulty sleeping. You tend not to see as many of these problems or these types of problems in people who don't worry with the same intensity or frequency of people with generalized anxiety disorder. In generalized anxiety disorder, the worry tends to be very distressing, and it interferes with important areas of a person's life, like their work or school performance, social activities, or their general ability to enjoy what they're doing. Now, in terms of prevalence, during any one year period, approximately 3% of the population experiences generalized anxiety disorder. And about 5% of the population will have generalized anxiety disorder at some point in their life. So this isn't an uncommon condition, as about 1 in 20 people will experience generalized anxiety disorder at some point. Generalized anxiety disorder tends to be more common in women than in men, as about 2/3 of people with generalized anxiety disorder are women. It's also not uncommon for people to develop generalized anxiety disorder in their childhood, as I've had a number of clients tell me that they've been worrying like this, worrying excessively their whole life. However, for other clients, their tendency to worry excessively began after a major stressful life event, such as an accident, assault, or a significant relationship breakup. People with generalized anxiety disorder also tend to experience other types of anxiety or mood problems as well. About 2/3 of people with generalized anxiety disorder will also experience additional anxiety or mood difficulties. And about 50% of people with generalized anxiety disorder will also experience clinically significant levels of depression. It's usually the case that it's the excessive, difficult to control worry of generalized anxiety disorder that results in ongoing distress and interference in a person's life, which results in feelings of demoralization and exhaustion, which can end up contributing to the onset of depression. Now, Because people with generalized anxiety disorder often perceive themselves to be worriers, they sort of see it as part of their character. They assume that excessive worrying is just part of their personality and something that can't be changed. And this can often result in people with generalized anxiety disorder not seeking help for their worry, as they just view it as part of who they are. And this is really unfortunate because it results in people with generalized anxiety disorder suffering needlessly when there are really, really effective treatments that can help. So I hope this video has been helpful in further detailing some of the features and characteristics of generalized anxiety disorder and explaining how generalized anxiety disorder worry differs from your typical everyday worries. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas and questions about this, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.